Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Round 3 of the Ozicar Formula 4 series comes to you from Circuit Jerez. It's been such an exciting season of Ozicar back in the Formula 4, a category that we've used in previous seasons. We're going to see what round 3 will bring us at this circuit. It's got some great overtaking opportunities, some really fast corners, and lots of short, sharp racing coming your way as we bring you coverage on Simspeed TV. I'm David Haynes with Jason Fewens, and Daniel Yeaman is in our production. Last saw you 2 weeks ago at Rudskogen, Jason, and now we're across basically the opposite side of Europe.
Yeah, good evening, Dave. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to wherever you're watching us here tonight on Simspeed. We are, here at Jerez, balmy Spain, a track that's relatively new to iRacing, and doesn't matter what format you throw at this track, it normally produces pretty good racing, so expecting some good close combat tonight between the drivers that are on track. Blue skies for the moment. We'll have to wait to see whether that prevails as the race and the day goes on, but at the moment things are looking pretty dry out there for our competitors.
And those are the 3 races we're looking forward to, and the first one is just moments away. It's 9 laps or 15 minutes. We'll see which one they cross first in this dry weather, and then a reverse top 6 for race 2, a progressive grid for race 3. It'll be short, sharp, and very exciting for Ozicar here at Jerez in the Formula 4. Grid is locked in for race number 1. I love that wine on top of the tower there. Jamie Stovall and Tom Freer, the Synergy Sim Racing teammates, have locked out the front row for race number 1. On row number 2 behind them is Nathan Verney and Douglas Gowans. The Formula 4 cars continue with Tony Baker and Brent Wassell. Then we have Milton Borton and Warren Henry, 7th and 8th after qualifying. John Snell and Ira Felberg, 9th and 10th positions there. Green flag waves for race number 1. Great jump from your pole sitter. 2nd place under fire. 3rd, 4th place side by side, covering off the inside, and that's off the road in the tail of the field, but a fantastic conversion from the pole position. The action is all in the positions behind.
Yeah, Tom Freer a little bit delayed getting away, had to go to defensive into turn number 1, so darted to the inside of the track to cover off from the likes of Nathan Verney and Gowans, but things have very quickly sorted themselves out here on the opening lap as the 2 SSR duo lead the field around for the first time, going through Cedo Pond's long right-handing corner. Short races here tonight, so they don't have to necessarily look after their tyres. There's no real fuel restriction for them to consider, so it's just a go to woe for these guys here tonight. Try and keep their nose clean and put in a heap of consistent laps.
One driver's going to struggle with that. Milton Borton just off the road, rejoining through the gravel in 10th place now. So your front row eventually converting into 1st and 2nd. Tom Freer didn't get away perfectly, and then there was a bit of a struggle behind, and Nathan Verney didn't get away quite as well as he would have hoped. On board was one of the drivers who was able to capitalise from that, Tony Baker, up in 4th place, and seems to be running along with Douglas Gowans pretty comfortably here, gaining some time through this sequence of right-handers. There's so many medium speed corners here, definitely something that works well for the F4 car that's got slicks, it's got a little bit of downforce, but then it still at times handles a bit like a go-kart. You can wrestle it a little bit, put some angle into it.
Yeah, quite short wheelbase realistically for the downforce that it has, but we're ready to complete lap number 1 already, so it doesn't take long for the drivers to do a circulation and a rotation of the circuit around here. Just under a minute 40 for the pole sitter tonight on his qualifying lap, so the laps should tick by relatively quick, but the real battle at the moment sitting here for 3rd, 4th and 5th, so it's Gowans, Baker and Verney forming a little train. They're your closest 3 on track at the moment, while the top 2 SSR guys is daylight between 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, some of them up front in the championship, up front in this race as well. We'll bring you championship standings. In between the races, battle is on at the moment for that 3rd place. Tony Baker had an opportunity to strike. Nathan Verney seems to be getting back into his element. His qualifying was good for 3rd place. His race start not so great. How will his racecraft work out across this short race 1? Back in line by the end of the straight and into the right-hander.
Yeah, down through dry sack there. There's probably the slowest corner on the circuit before they get into a sequence of long left-handers, just left as the drivers make their way through the infield section and the back part of the circuit. So a few different racing lines through the corners there as Verney's looking for a way around, a little bit unorthodox, but trying to find excess speed to get around Baker. Probably feels he has a little bit more pace to show at the moment early on here in race number 1. But if he does get past Baker, he's going to have a wall of Gowans in front of him as well. So might be just wise to sit in there at the moment, try and judge the guys in front and save those tyres for later in the race. Through the hairpin, coming back onto the main straight to complete lap number 2.
We're taking a look at the weather conditions. The track is hot, and we've got dramas at the final corner for John Snell. He'll rejoin now in the 9th place. Jamie Stovall sets the fastest lap of the race out front. So Snell, I've been battling for the position there with RFL Berg and Brent Wassel. He's gone around. It is a hot track, 42 degrees Celsius. And you do not need to worry about rain right now. You need to worry about the heat.
We'll just have a quick look at a couple of the mishaps so far that have occurred in the opening laps of heat number 1 tonight. This happened early on in race number 1. This was Milton Borton just getting on the accelerator a little bit early, bit of a tank slapper. Does he pull it up well before the tyres? He does. So no damage, just a heap of time lost and probably a little bit of pride, but he makes his way back onto the circuit to continue. And this is John Snell. We just saw him come unstuck at the hairpin coming onto the straight. So again, the back steps out mid-apex. Very, very lucky there to avoid the car from behind. Ends up on the grass on the infield, and he is back underway.
Yeah, definitely tagged a bit of the grass on the inside of the corner there as well and found it not very grippy. These are your race leaders. Jamie Stovall qualified pole. Tom Freer qualified 2nd. Freer is getting just a little bit closer. So the top 6 invert heading into race number 2. So we'll keep an eye on 6th position in this race. These 2 drivers comfortably inside of that top 6 at the moment, up front, and able to get away from 3-car battle behind that continues to brew. It'll take them a little while on these tyres, on these slick tyres, to really get them perfect and cherry right. Is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Gowans feels the need to defend. Baker doesn't really get over-under in a convincing manner. Nathan Verney needs to worry about what he's going to do as Gowans is still defending this from 2 cars behind now. Look at Verney using all the racetrack and watching so keenly with what's happening with the 2 in front.
Yeah, Baker looks like he's got a lot more confidence in the car now at the midway point of the race than he had earlier on, so he is getting a pretty good look at the tailpipe of Douglas Gowans there, looking for a way around. Probably a little bit of pressure from Nathan Verney being applied to Tony Baker. That's his main incentive, I guess, to try and get around Gowans at this point of the race. Looks for an alternate line. Gowans very defensive there into dry sack, over under, but Tony Baker's going to find himself on the wrong side of the circuit for the sequence of left-handers.
Well, they're certainly close, and Gowans is not putting a foot wrong just yet, but it's an immense amount of pressure to sustain corner after corner, and you feel that Baker has more speed, but just hasn't got traction out of any of the slow corners. There's the mistake, the slide from Gowans, but not able to get to the inside of the next corner. A tiny bit of contact from Tony Baker. Nathan Verney comes through. Gowans holds on to 3rd place for the moment despite that big slide, laying down some licorice straps out the corner.
Yeah, just in the background we saw Brent Wassell have a bit of a lose as well, just getting out off the marbles and off the racing line and ended up out in the gravel. But the beauty of this circuit here at Jerez is there's plenty of runoff, so the chances of cars hitting the wall are quite minimal in the scheme of things. Cross the line to complete another lap, so we're over the halfway point of race number 1 already. Nathan Verney using all the track and then some, just in that braking zone, trying to get a good run out of turn number 1, but it's a short run down to turn number 2 before hard on the brakes again. Single file through this part of the circuit, very ambitious if you want to try and go too wide through here, but the 3 cars in question all following each other in suit.
They are doing worry about track limits in a couple of places. And that might be one of them. Look at them nearly knocking out the DRS sign. To the replay for Warren Henry. And this is where he was back in 5th at the time. It shows him as 8th now. He runs out wide, finds some marbles, and then has a pretty big lose from there. So again, like you said, no one finding the wall, but still some costly errors in races that are this short. Bit of relief and cloud cover comes across with a chance to move the track temperature just a little bit, give the drivers all a tad more grip. Douglas Gowans can use all that he can get. He's still in 3rd place, but now it's Nathan Verney behind him that is going to apply the pressure. And all of this battling over 3rd place is good news for the drivers in 1st and 2nd. Nearly another lap completed here as they work their way through the left-handed final corner, basically a hairpin for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, back underneath the UFO, a very distinctive part of the circuit, and as they go to complete one lap and start another one, Gowan's still under pressure from Nathan Verney in the locked-on lads iRacing livery Formula 4. He will be watching his mirrors because Tony Baker's still trying to apply a bit of pressure, tighten the screws and look for a way around as well. He wants to regain that spot that he lost a couple of laps ago through that little bit of contact with Gowans, but you can just see how close and how hard these 3 here are racing.
So just as you spoke about the UFO, I bet that's a great place to have a wedding. I Google Jerez circuit wedding, and yep, you can get married there if you want to. So maybe that's the plan, get married in Spain. The plan is to race side by side for 4th place here though for Tony Baker. He's looking to come back through the field. He lost that 4th place. He lost the opportunity to challenge for the podium around the outside. It's not looking like it's going to work especially well for him, but this circuit, it switches back in a couple of places, and that was the right place to be. Heading into the next left-hander, Tony Baker back up into 4th.
That little move just giving a little bit of breathing space to Douglas Gowans. He's out to half a second gap as Nathan Verney makes a little bit of a mistake there as well. So a little bit of daylight between these 3 guys at the moment. I'm sure they'll all put their head down and it'll be a train of 3 fighting for 1 position on the podium. Meanwhile, out in front, Jamie Stovall, Tom Freer doing everything they need to do just in unison with each other. Synchronised driving out there at the moment with Stovall still holding the fastest lap of the race. And Tom Freer doing a pretty good job as wingman for race number 1.
Starting lap 7 of 9 for this first race. It's just that half a second separating the top 2. Best battling of the race has been over 3rd, 4th and 5th, where Douglas Gowans, Tony Baker and Nathan Verney are restored in the order that they previously were. Consistency of lap times from your race leader Jamie Stovall per the graphic, and it looks like Brent Wassell's going to be the driver who might get the invert pole position for race number 2, running in 6th at the moment after we saw Warren Henry strike some dramas. To also mention Milton Borton and John Snell and maybe even a little bit of Ira Felberg. So 6th at the moment, just needs to keep it on the island to stay inside of that top 6, which is absolutely where you want to be if you can manage it at the end of this race one.
Well, I dare say Brent's probably put in some pretty good lap times, because you've got to remember he had that spin and that mishap early on lap number 1, so he's only 14-15 seconds off the pace, and I reckon he would have lost 10 plus seconds in that little incident that he had earlier on. So if he gets the benefit of having the the start-off pole in race number 2, you might just be in for a contention for a good podium. So keep an eye on him for the next race coming up. But as they go around to complete another lap, two teammates follow each other across the line as close as you probably want to get.
Tom Freer is going to have a look for the race lead. They go side by side towards turn number 1 at Jerez. He'll break a little bit earlier than his teammate down the inside. Jamie Stovall will hold the race lead, and Tom Freer will take away the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so this is still the battle for third at the moment. Gowan's doing a really good job because he's had pressure from pretty well lap number 1, whether it be Nathan Verney or Tony Baker trying to sniff the tailpipes and the fumes that are coming out of the back of that Formula car in front. Round through Cito Ponds again. Little bit of a drift mid-corner there, and they're out onto the AstroTurf to get the run down the back straight. Slipstream is in effect here, but the corner and the hard braking zone comes up awfully quick. Again, Baker to the outside. He made that move sick earlier on with Nathan Verney. Gets a little bit loose mid-apex and puts himself under pressure again.
Yeah, no grip out as wide as he was there on the marble, struggling to get to traction. Ended up side by side with Verney, but like when he made the move initially into these left-handers, the inside is a great place to be. Baker will hold on to that 4th place. He's running out of laps to really have a good swing at Douglas Gowans, who's been on the boil here for the whole race under all of that pressure. Nathan Verney having a little bit of a weave there. Definitely something going on here amongst these three. Good racing overall so far, though.
Yeah, well, Verney in a prime position to get a front row start in race number 2. The leaders again cross the line for another time and side by side into the braking zone. So I'm sure while they are in communication with each other throughout the course of the race, these guys race very, very close together, and they all want to go home with the bragging rights at the end of the day. I'm sure there's no McLaren-esque team orders in place here tonight.
Well, Stovall had the inside for turn number 1 this time. Freer swapped back over under, has taken the race lead away from him on the final lap of the race. Now it is Freer from Stovall, and we are going to see the teammates battle it out to the sort of motorcycle line almost to defend the inside, back across the other way. Freer wants to hold on to the race lead. Stovall's going to break deep down the inside, but not close enough, running out of other places to overtake, and behind them the same's happening for Gowans and Baker. Could all happen for everyone in the top 5. There's contact, they're around. 3rd and 4th make contact. Nathan Verney goes through into the podium. They made a little bit of a touch there a couple of laps ago, but now there's a big one between Gowans and Baker.
Yeah, keep an eye on Brent Wassell because he'll be coming through as well, looking to pick up the pieces. I'm not sure whether he was actually close enough to take advantage of that, but definitely there was something brewing there in the background. Gowans managed to get going. I don't know whether Tony Baker's still up there as well, but into the last sector of the circuit now, and Tom Freer leading this one, so he's up from P2, so he's gained a position on his teammate. Will take the bragging rights for race number 1.
Waited till the final lap to do it, but Tom Freer just sneaks by Jamie Stovall. The Synergy Sim Racing teammates still make it a 1-2. Freer from Stovall. Nathan Verney made no passes really. In fact, he lost some spots off of the race start, but then they collided in front of him and he comes back through for a podium. Tony Baker in 4th, Douglas Gowans in 5th, and there was a little bit of back and forth across the radio there as well. I think Douglas Gowans was particularly happy with it. We will get another look at it at some point when we can, hopefully, because I haven't fully digested what happened there. Brent Wassell, Milton Borton, Ira Felberg, one Henry John Snell with the rest. This is it. Gowans defending the inside. Baker has a look around the outside, keeps his nose in there.
Maybe a bit of netcode there, I think.
Yeah, other than that, I'm seeing a bit of this, a bit of that. Baker's
it's very uncharacteristic of the car, the way it cut across the front of Tony Baker's car there. So they gave each other plenty of room, plenty of experience between those drivers, and lots of respect. So I'm sure they wouldn't have done anything silly intentionally on the last lap.
Verney's like, what's going to happen here? Oh, and it just opens up for him into the 3rd place. About to head shortly into race number 2. same affair again, 9 laps. We've got the full 9 laps, no worries there. Keep an eye on what the weather does as well. But with that top 6 invert, Brent Wassell and Douglas Gowans are going to end up as the front row. These are the results now that race 1 is finalised. Tom Freer from Jamie Stovall, Nathan Verney, Tony Baker, Douglas Gowans, Brent Wassell, Milton Borton, Ira Felberg, Warren Henry, and John Snell might have actually had some damage or a penalty or something at the end there. He made his way through pit lane. Take that top 6, flip them on their head. Tom Freer and Jamie Stovall are going to have to do some passing if they're going to lock out the 1-2 once again.
Yeah, they say every cloud does have a silver lining, so for the likes of Gowans, he will line up on the front row. So we'll have a look here. Brent Wassell going to lead us away on lap number 1 with Gowans to his right. Tony Baker and Nathan Verney will make up the second row tonight, so good close racing between those guys. Jamie Stovall and our race 1 winner Tom Freer off the third row. Milton Borton and Ira Felberg will sit side by side on row number 4.
There's a green flag now underway. Brett Wassell from that pole position struggling to get moving, as well as Douglas Gowans could, as well as Tony Baker can. He's looking down the inside, so it'll be Gowans and Baker leading us, with Wassell now into third. Down the inside goes the teammates of Stovall and Freer. Stovall already making a good chunk of moves. Nathan Verney driving similar to how he did in race number 1, not looking to get involved in anyone else's funny business. See if he can pick off some spots later on into the race. Gowans straight to the race lead. Baker straight through into second. And what a race that they could have. Up into third and fourth already. Stovall and Freer.
Yeah, carving their way through the back part of the top 5 there with the SSR guys. So they're up to third and fourth on circuit halfway through the lap. So not too much resistance there from Nathan Verney and Wassell, as Wassell misses his braking marker, runs very, very deep into dry sack, but manages to keep it on the circuit, losing a heap of time on the track, but no positions.
I wonder if there's a reason that that's one of the corners that you definitely know by name and not by number. It's a great circuit here, most known for the motorbike racing. Formula 1 used to do a lot of testing. The car racing here, it's a pretty good car racing circuit, even if the fans in this area are all about the 2 wheels.
Yeah, there's plenty of great racing here. Moto 3 in particular, you really see that draft train weave down the front and the back straight. So we saw that a little bit between the teammates in race number 1. It was very Moto 3 tactics going on, but we jump on board with Ira Felberg, who's at the back of the field at the moment with his eyes focused on John Snell. So John had a bit of a shocker in race number 1. He'll be looking to regain some confidence here as they complete the first lap of 9 for race number 2. Under the iconic bridge again and into their braking zone, wheels out on the ripple strip to open up that corner into turn number 1 so they can carry as much speed. There's a car off on the right hand side having a bit of an issue. That's Warren Henry going backwards and returning to the pits.
Yes, the dramas for Henry. Gowans still leads from Baker. Stovall and Freer are getting mighty close right now. In fact, Stovall's very, very close. Stovall's having a look for second as we head down the hill here. Long straight into the braking zone, but not getting a toe off the race leaders. That actually helps Baker in line behind Gowans. But Stovall's still most of the way down the inside to try to claim some of this corner, opening it up as well for Tom Freer, his teammate, to maybe be able to come through. Having not been able to get to the left-hand side of the circuit, Baker is going to give these guys, who locked out 1-2 in race number 1, no positions for free, and they've only got 9 laps to still try to work their way up to the lead. They're going to repeat race 1's results in race number 2. Gives Gowans a couple more car lengths to stretch away. Baker's now looking rearwards more than forwards.
Yeah, Gowans doing a pretty good job. Eyes forward, he'll be relishing this little battle he sees in his mirrors as he has a quick glance over his shoulder. So he's got his gap out to just over half a second at the moment in that lead. So they can see Constantina up a little bit into the hairpin to complete the lap. And they make a little bit of time on the leader, so he might have been braking early or just not quite getting the head into the tyres and feeling that confidence in the car just yet. Ernie taking the fastest lap of the race as well, so he's sitting back in 5th. We can't remember him, so he had a good result in race number 1. So a little bit of draft from the cars in front while they battle, and Nathan Verney takes the purple accolade of the fastest lap of the race at this point.
track temperature even hotter than it was in race number 1. They're up to 45 Celsius. They definitely all got heat in their tyres now, starting to slide around a little bit more. Definitely seeing that F4 racing is good racing. This is Gowans, the leader, from Baker, from Stovall, from Freer. And like you said, Nathan Hurley picking up that fastest lap of the race because he's the one not engaged in trying to battle it out here. He's driving smoothly rather than side by side and trying to outbrake and all of that.
So four-way battle, so 4 into 3 won't go at the end of the race. So one of these guys is potentially going to miss out, and you can just see Nathan Verney making really good ground on the guys in the front. So a bit of a train behind Douglas Gowans at the moment as Tony Baker runs wide, and you have Jamie Stovall having a look down the inside, very, very fast right-hand corner. Just a lot of confidence in each other there, while Tom Freer's looking for a way around as well.
Oh, they're 3 wide and Baker's in the middle. And somehow there's no contact. Oh, but he spins. And he spins into the pit entry as well. Also spun out there. Another one of the drivers, Verney. Yeah, Nathan Verney, who was the serene picture of just driving within himself, picking up where everyone else falls off. But now he can't pick up because he's the one who's also spun out. It's Douglas Gowans from James Stovall from Tom Freer. Baker and Verney are the ones looking like that they're getting burnt in the Spanish sun.
So while we have a couple of, I won't say losers, but misfortunes there on circuit, Brent Wassell and Milton Borton, the two teammates, I think it's No Love Racing, so they find themselves up into the top 5 as well. So a quick look at the Ozicar.net replay brought to you by No Social Hate. You did call it 3 wide into the circuit. Just running a bit wide there, Tony Baker hard on the accelerator, and the back of the car just spun around real quick. Nathan Verney might have just done it out of sympathy and found himself facing the wrong way as well. We'll keep an eye on him in the background.
There's Baker in the middle. There's Verney just too wide, way too wide. Like you say, track is hotter than it was in race number 1 as well, by not a little bit, by a measurable amount. We're going to get even hotter as this race goes on. Gowans, through all of this, still leads, but there's less chaos behind him now. There's just the 2 teammates from SSR, Stovall and then Freer. Stovall has a good chance in this lap to just take his time, set up Douglas Gowans, and make a move where he sees fit. Turn 1 was the scene of some of the passing, because if we get a good run into turn 1 or a good run off turn 1, then the next corner, turn 2, is also a right-hander and you can complete it. As we've seen some struggle to do that in other places, and Gowans runs off all by himself. Jamie Stovall, Tom Freer, they're through now. Gowans struggling with a snappy rear end.
Yeah, that's unleashed the SSR guys. They're back out in front where they probably feel most comfortable. But again, Ozicar.net replay, and that is on board from the leading SSR driver as Gowans has a excursion off into the sand with the dirt onto the left-hand side. Drags a bit of that debris back onto the circuit, so that could be interesting the next time the cars come around. Brent Wassell, Milton Borton still sitting in 4th and 5th, so following each other in unison. The No Love Racing teammates are separated by less than half a second, so Draft well and truly pulling Milton Borton along here at this stage.
Yeah, so that's great for them in 4th and 5th at the moment, and there's no more reverse grids to come. Where you finish here is where you start race number 3. It's a great time to luck into some positions and have a clean race and come into a good spot for these guys, because that then also gives them a good opportunity in race number 3. We're almost bump drafting each other for the lead of the race. Tom Freer has caught Jamie Stovall into the final sector, so that's all on now as well. Moving closer, heading into the braking zone there. See Stovall just driving a little bit more down the right-hand side of the road than you normally would, coming back across to the racing line. You can see Gowans got no damage, and he's still running in 3rd there. Did, yeah, just lose his cool a little bit in turn 1 under the pressure of what's looking like an all-conquering duo of Stovall and Freer just arriving underneath his rear wing. Tale as old as time. Tony Baker battling his way for all the spots he can get. Nathan Verney's now closed in on him. Baker might have actually got through recently.
Yeah, these guys here have shown pretty good pace, and as the laps count down, they are making a little bit of headway on the No Love Racing teammates of Wassell and Borton up ahead, so they don't want to battle too hard. There still is some time for them to gain and recover some positions here, pending they don't trip over each other in the process.
Right now, not too far behind Wassell and Borton. Over 3 laps to go. This is the leaders, and they're within the 2:10. So then you've got 2 cars battling for 4th, 2 cars battling for 6th, perhaps 2 cars battling for 8th, and that's John Snell and Ira Felberg. We'll look at them. Felberg just getting a little bit closer to Snell as we go, side by side for the lead. Freya hasn't been able to finish off the move. No white flag yet from Barney, but it's close. Stovall's defending the inside for turn 1 for all he's worth. Passing underneath the UFO, Tom Freya rolls out of the throttle. They both work their way towards turn 1 again. Battle is on.
Tom Freya taking the fastest lap of the race, so only a couple of laps ago, it was just over a second away from his teammate, so he's had his head down, and in the process of securing that fastest lap, found himself right underneath the rear wing of his teammate going into turn number 1. A little bit of daylight between him now as they make their way through Cedo Ponds down the back straight up to the highest part of the circuit. Then they run down into the heavy braking zone, which is the lowest part of the track. So all downhill here, carry plenty of speed, use all the circuit plus a rookie strip into the braking zone. There is a slowdown and an off track out there if they get a little bit liberal with the circuit, but at the moment this little battle has turned into almost a 4-car battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th.
Yeah, it has. Verney hasn't been able to make a move on Baker, who's gotten closer to these teammates up in front for 4th and 5th. So last lap, not that much. No, sorry, last lap Baker almost 1.8 seconds quicker than the 2 cars in front. So he closed big time last lap. And if he's got that much pace advantage, a second a lap, a second and a half a lap, that's going to give you a great opportunity to make a move. That doesn't count laps completed. You can see Baker's trending on getting way closer behind Wassell here, almost too close. You want to make your move here in the final corner, and he will, sailing straight round the outside. Does he manage to keep the nose in front of the tail? There he does, but no, Nathan Verney can't, and he nearly makes a carbon copy of his mistake from earlier. So Baker makes a move and Verney makes a spin.
Well, that's dropping Verney well and truly off the back of that little battle pack, so it'll be a lonely 2 laps for him, sort of the checkered flag now. He'll have to relish what could have been, but out in front, Jamie Stovall, Tom Freya, it's a duo that we've focused on quite a bit throughout the course of the season. It's not always in that order, but they do share the love and the success in that team. Sometimes one gets the better of the other, but at the moment Stovall has bragging rights by less than half a tenth. Freya looks for a way around the outside. He's going to find himself on the inside for the left here in the back of the second sector.
Yeah, that's a move that's worked pretty well a few times. We've seen it happen. We saw Baker do it. Brent Wassell's just spun out, but there's clearly no team orders amongst your leaders as Tom Freya takes the lead from Jamie Stovall. Once that they're, 1 or 2 seconds clear of the rest of the field, we see them race each other. They're very aware of the team game up until that point. So Tony Baker now ahead of Brent Wassell, now behind Milton Borton, the next spot that he's looking to make up. Good run there to the inside, and we'll get an idea on the replay for Brent Wassell exactly where he's come out at some point. This is to the final lap. The move into turn 1 on the final lap was the magic one last race. What about this time? Stovall's in front of Freya. Freya can't get as far to the inside as he would like. Looks to cross back over under for the short little run into the next hairpin, but it's not there for him this time. He's going to run out of options. Perhaps in a couple of corners time is the best bet at that hairpin right-hander.
Yeah, she's a two-horse race out the front at the moment, but it'd be a game man to put money on one or the other, so it could go either way here in the dying stages of the final lap race number 2. This is a big draft opportunity. Probably the best chance that Tom Freer has if he wants to really have a crack at this. He pulls out of the draft, sticks his nose down the inside, gets a little bit squirrely under brakes. Just got to give his teammate enough room. Looks like he gets half a car ahead, but finds himself on the wrong side of the circuit again, so he's going to have to go the long way around if he can hold it.
He's going to try. He's going to send it round the outside of his teammate into the left-hander. Decent stop for the next right-hander. Sees Tom Freer keep his nose in front. Neither of them going to give up though. Stovall just a little too wide. Not enough grip compared to Freer, who now leads this race. Douglas Gowans isn't too far back in the third place there, and so he's maybe headed for a podium in this race number 2. This also is going to decide who starts on the pole position for race number 3, the final race of the night. Freer defends the inside of the hairpin. Traction offline's been a real challenge for lots of drivers. Getting the traction out of the corners being difficult for Senna and Prost in the past here. What about the drag race between Freer and Stovall to the checkered flag in a race that's won by Tom Freer, stealing it away on the last lap and winning by 5 thousandths of a second when you look at iRacing's timing?
Absolutely nothing into that. You could just, I'm sure Gowans was probably relishing the fact he could have been involved in that minus that little mistake, but he comes home for third. So a good result nonetheless, but it was all about the two SSR drivers battling for the rights and the points there. So this is a Ozicar.net replay. We'll have a quick look. This is Brett Wassel. So this is going back to the lap 8. We could see how he's had a bit of a spin, just having a look out off the racing line under brakes. And that did allow Nathan Verney to get back and gain another position while he recovers. So still blue skies in the vicinity of the circuit at the moment after 2 heat races here tonight on Simspeed TV. There's a 4.5 minute warm-up for the drivers, and we will be back very shortly for the feature race, which will consist of a mad dash to the line for the winner-take-all.
So we've run 2 races, and there's one more to come tonight for the Ozicar Formula 4 series from Circuito de Jerez. Aussie Cars, brought to you by Sim Racing Leagues, Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. Going to be an exciting little season. We've had 2 rounds already before tonight. Let's look at the points standings as they came into tonight. It is a synergy sim racing affair between Tom Freer and Jamie Stovall. And it was just 4 points between them before tonight. Tom Freer's taken both of the wins from Jamie Stovall to this point. Adrian Duke and Ben Wheeler missing tonight, but they're third and fourth in the points from Tim Harris, Doug Gowans, Nathan Norman, Warren Henry, Dylan DeBono, and Tony Baker.
So 5 of our top 10 in the championship are actually missing in action tonight. So tonight's results are really going to mix things up. Probably not so much in the top 2, but from 3rd down to 10th, I dare say we could see some big movers and shakers as we hit the halfway point of the season. We'll just have a quick look at where the circuit is located geographically here in Spain. So it's down in the southern part, quite dry, barren part of the world, as we focus in on the circuit itself.
Andalusia is the southernmost autonomous community in Peninsular Spain.
So circuit consisting of 13 corners, some pretty famous names there: Michelin, Cito Pons, Lorenzo, Ferrari, Creville, there all sorts of Nito, so lots of well-known drivers, and both on 2 wheels and 4 here, represented at Circuit Jerez. Very, very popular circuit amongst drivers, no matter what sort of discipline they decide to drive or ride. So circuit opened in 1985, as you can see, 4.42 kilometres completes it. As we look at our grid for the final feature race tonight, Dave.
Yep. It's a familiar sight up front. Tom Freer and Jamie Stovall from Synergy Sim Racing are the front row. Doug Gowans and Tony Baker are going to start out of 3rd and 4th. They've been some of the highlights of the racing to this point. Milton Borton and Nathan Verney will start from 5th and 6th. Then Brent Wassel and Ira Feldberg 7th and 8th. John Snell is from 9th, and Warren Henry, we believe, had some technical issues. Dropped him out of race number 2. We'll see what he can do in race number 3. Your pole sitter doesn't get away perfectly. The standing starts in these cars can be a challenge. Doug Gowans has nailed it this time. So is Tony Baker, but he's got nowhere to go, so he's all across the whole width of the racetrack. Jamie Stovall has got a great start, moved ahead of his teammate Tom Freer on lap number 1.
Yeah, Baker got an absolutely blinder. He looked for a run down the inside. That wasn't going to work, so we went far left for the open up the corner there for turn number 1. Didn't get any moves done, but definitely making his presence felt as he comfortably sits into P4. It looks like everybody made a relatively clean start on the opening lap here of the feature race tonight. Still under green flag conditions, as we have a bit of a spinner in the background.
More
that might
than a
be
bit of a spin.
Borton.
Borton's got some big damage. The rear wing's off, the suspension's dented. One of the tyres is down, and that car is going nowhere except onto a tow truck. Unfortunately for Milton Borton, he might have put a little bit too much curb, a bit too eager with the throttle. Track temperature now 46 Celsius, as you see Nathan Verney going around the outside of
Not sure if everyone can still hear us out there in Simspeed land.
The race continues with Jamie Stovall, Tom Freer, Douglas Gowans, and Tony Baker as your tightly packed top four. Bit of space there to Nathan Verney, John Snell, Brent Wassel. Warren Henry's working his way up through the field after those technical problems that we believe he had in race number 2. It's good to see him back on track and racing. Looking at what happened to Milton Borton, and he loses it a little bit, gets the grass, and that doesn't help on the lap 1.
Yeah, very quickly the back of the car turned around. He was literally just a passenger from the moment the right-hand front got into that grass. The wall comes up very quick there at that part of the circuit, and some extensive damage to that car, so he does retire from heat number 1. He still hasn't made his way back out on circuit, so he might be calling it a night. Warren Henry, though, we spoke about him. He had some technical difficulties, we believe, in race number 2, so he's recovered to find himself on circuit, up a couple of positions to find himself in P8. He has his teammate behind him in Ira Felberg at the moment, but his eyes will be focused forward on the little battling duo in front that is Brent Wassel and John Snell.
Down front straight we go. New fastest lap of the race comes in for Tom Freer. John Snell, those 3 positions gained in this race so far. Is it about to be back to 2 as Wassel gets down the inside of this right-hander? Seems like the place to be. That's a move well executed from Wassel, who's now back up in the 6th. Snell in 7th with a fast-charging Warren Henry just behind him in the 8th position there as well. Douglas Gowans and Tony Baker have raced each other all the way through race number 1, fair chunk of race number 2, and into race number 3. Once again, we've got Baker looking at the rear of Douglas Gowans, wondering, how am I going to get past this guy and onto the podium?
Yeah, well, he's played just about every play in the playbook. There's 3 plays in a short sentence. I'll try and do better than that next time. But he's doing everything he can to try and apply the pressure to Gowans, but Gowans has got a pretty cool head. He's been under pressure, like we said, in race number 1 from the moment the lights went green, and he managed to hold his cool for the best part of it. So, wily old character, and Tony Baker's going to have to pull something out of the book if he wants to find a way around a little bit unorthodox. We'll look at the back of Brent Wassel here at the moment, focusing on John Snell.
Jason, that's what I call play-by-play commentary. The leaders taking different lines through the final corner. Stovall ahead of Freer. So far, they've both battled it hard through race 1, through race 2. But it's been Tom Freer who's come away with the win so far. Stovall's made him really work for it. It's been great to see the teammates race, knowing that there's some respect back and forth. But of course, they both want to win, and they're the class of the field tonight. For a minimum, that's for sure. Snell gets ahead of Brent Russell, I see on the pictures there. Baker gets ahead of Gowans, who looks like he's a bit slow. Coming off of turn 3, Baker up into the podium positions, capture all of what happened, and then Nathan Verney's been a constant presence around the top 5 and just behind Gowans and Baker through a handful of these races. So this is Gowans, who was in 3rd at this point. Tony Baker just behind. It was off of turn 1 last race that Gowans went wide, and it snaps quite early for him there, the corner after.
Yeah, he's done a very good job to catch it.
And then he would have had a slowdown from how much he cut the inside of the next.
And that might explain why Verney's made a bit of ground on him as well, so while he served that slowdown. But John Snell, sniffing the fumes that are coming out of Wassell's tailpipes, has a big look under brakes, very, very confident in his ability there into turn number 1, and makes the move stick. So great effort there from John Snell to gain a position.
Teammates again with Stovall still in front. Nice line out of the final corner from Freer, who's tucked up right in the slipstream. Can they afford to battle each other too hard too early yet? They've only got 2 seconds over Tony Baker, who's been released into 3rd place. And he can be pretty quick at times. He was pretty successful at Woodskogan 2 weeks ago, last round, if I recall as much. And this is the 3rd, 4th and 5th again. Verney's picked up some spots before from mistakes from the 2 drivers in front of him. There's still a few laps to play out in this race still.
Yeah, we're over the halfway point of the feature race here, race number 3 tonight. So we did see a few little mistakes late in both races 1 and 2. So there is plenty of racing and plenty of opportunity still ahead. Wassel now back underneath and looking for the move to regain that position on Snell, while Warren Henry sits in the background rubbing his hands together waiting for an opportunity for potential car contact. Wassel down the inside under brakes, hugging that curb a little bit. He's given John Snell there plenty of room for the switchback. He's going to find himself have to relegate himself back into position, back into line, and continue on as they were last time around.
Snell did pretty well, but then he's wide through the next corner, allows him to defend the inside here. Got really good traction from around the wide line there, and a good defense without sort of blocking the inside or anything. Just, okay, I'll take this line and I'll do it well. And it's kept John in good position here in 6th ahead of Wassel. And then Henry, who started 10th, runs 8th at the moment. You see the positions gained on your screen. Needs to defend into the final corner. Warren Henry will have the best line of the lot of them. 4 to go as they cross the line now. James Douglas from Tom Freer up front. From Tony Baker, Douglas Gowers, Nathan Verney. Milton Borton is back out on the track after that lap 1 incident. We saw that ripped various pieces off his car, and he's going to do his best work to stay out of the way of this very, very exciting win battle.
Yeah, good to see him back out on the circuit. Nobody wants to see anybody sitting. Nobody wants to see anybody sitting in the pits watching from the sideline. So good to be out there on the circuit. Might be able to relegate some kind of points at the end of the day as he pulls to the right-hand side and lets everybody through. So the battle for 6th at the moment is Snell, Wassel and Henry still battling it out. The closest 3 on track, separated by less than a second. Snell very deep into brakes again, and Wassel's going to go for the switchback to find himself on the outside, as we've seen plenty of drivers do. Then I think Humphrey was the only one who we did see manage to pull that move off around the outside through this sequence of left-hand corners.
Snell's doing well amongst all the pressure at the moment as well, so he's defended from the inside, he's defended from the outside, and sure, his clean lap pace, clean air pace might not be as quick as Wassel. He's been very consistent, he's getting the traction well out of the slow corners, and it's keeping him in front for the moment. Whichever line he gets forced onto, or whichever way he defends, he's making it work very, very robustly. It's Warren Henry, who maybe been waiting to see what plays out in front of him, but now he's going to have to make a bit of his own luck. He's going to move forward and gain a couple more positions in this race.
Yeah, you might have to dig deep. Yeah, Warren Henry right on board with him at the moment. He does have the Ayrton Senna helmet on, so he's going to have to dig deep, find his inner centre in him and trying to find a way around these 2 in front if he wants to make some positions. So he's been sitting in the back of this little train here for the last 7 laps realistically. So we have 2.5 laps remaining. If he does want to gain a couple of positions, now's the time to really tighten those screws, apply the pressure and try and get the move done.
It'll be an exciting last couple of laps here as they've started lap 7. Wassel gets a little bit wide at a critical moment here because it's a long run down towards the next corner. Henry with some speed, looking for a toe either way that he can get it. He's going to show his nose down the inside, and he gets there, but look at that grip. You've got one car wide of the apex. There's plenty of grip across a varying few lines through there, and it lets Wassel hold on to 7th place. Half a second gap between the leaders. Less between Baker and Gowans, who might be interested in striking back. This is a 3-way battle you can barely afford to rip your eyes away from because it's simmering towards something very, very interesting in the last couple of laps, no doubt. This is for that podium. Baker in front at the moment. Shoe on the other foot stuff compared to race number 1 between these 2.
Yeah, 2 laps to go as they make their way underneath the bridge there to complete another lap. So about 9 kilometres of racing to go for the leaders at the moment. Also for this little dueling battle, 3rd and 4th on the circuit at the moment. So if either of these guys want to make their way into the commentary box and celebrate their victories tonight, Their time is running out for Gowans to get that move done. Tony Baker's going to try and defend with everything he's got. Thinking about the championship as well, so good little points haul for him if he can bring it home in third.
James Stovall's going to have to try to buck the trend. Freya's won race 1, race 2. Can he block him from winning race 3, or will Jamie Stovall be forever the bridesmaid, never the bride here at Jerez? Defensive line from Snell for 6th place. Wassel and Henry 7th and 8th, all over him. All of the track, all of the real estate getting used tonight. And once again, this is amazing stuff from John Snell. He's just not making mistakes, even if some of these cars behind might be theoretically a bit quicker. Warren Henry's got the fastest lap of this group of 3. His best is half a second quicker than either of the 2 cars in front, but he's not making a move and not making it stick. We're going to head towards the white flag this time. That's where Tom Free has done some of his best work. Just 0.2 of a second behind as we start the final lap from Jerez. Stovall offers very little defence, so Tom Freya has a look down the inside, side by side for the race lead amongst the teammates, hanging out around the wide line. Stovall keeps his nose in front. He's still got quite a few more kilometres to try to defend a race win at Jerez.
Yeah, final lap now. The 2 leaders have got a good gap to the cars behind, so they can just focus on battling each other and making sure they don't hit each other, because the last person you do want to hit is your teammate. Can make a very awkward driver's briefing or a summary at the end of the race meeting. But the real battle at the moment, for, I guess, the final spot of glory on the 3rd step of the podium is Tony Baker and Gowans. If we do have a look for the lead change into what is the tightest corner on the circuit, separated by
around that outside line can work. Freya just keeps enough of his nose in that Stovall can't turn down across him. Now Freya's the one with his nose in front into the next left-hander. Stovall's not going to lift, but that's the long line. Freya taking the lead on the final lap again, like he did in race number 1, like he did out of the final corner in race number 2. Jamie Stovall has given him nothing for free. They might be friends, but they still look like rivals tonight at Jerez. Freya with his nose in front. We've seen passes be able to be made in the final corner, be able to be made in the run to the checkered flag, and we might get it once again. Freya's the one on the inside. Stovall looks to switch back. Good traction out of the final corner can make this close, but it looks like Freya can hold on. His nose in front, less than a car length, crossing the checkered flag. Freya's margin of victory, 0.068 in this race. 0.005 in the last race, and 0.3 of a second in the one before. The total winning margin across 3 races between them, less than half a second, as Baker held on to that 3rd place podium.
Yeah, drivers deeper in the field still making their way across the finish line at the moment. So John Snell finishing in 7th after all that, doing a really good job. Brett Mossel did get the better of him at the end, so that little battle between the 3 drivers fighting for 6, 7 and 8 was won by Wassel, Snell, and then of course it was Warren Henry in the car 67 in P8. So we'll have a quick look at our race results after race 3 tonight, while the winner does some celebrationary burnouts in the middle of the circuit to burn some rubber. Tom Freya taking the win, like you said, by less than 7/100th of a second over his teammate Jamie Stovall. Tony Baker bringing home a really good, strong 3rd result there in the feature race. Douglas Gowans in P4 and Nathan Verney. Pretty quiet night for him in the feature race, P5.
Yeah, you're seeing the rest of your results there. So Milton Broughton ended that lap down, and then Brent Russell, John Snell, Warren Henry, Ira Felberg was 6th through to 9th place. What a slim little winning margin between Tom Freya and Jamie Stovall right at the end there. Freya just keeps picking the pocket of Jamie Stovall. That's race 2's results, where it was 5,000th of a second. The total winning margin, as I do maths in my head with a microphone in front of me, which always takes 50 IQ off you, like 0.45 of a second total winning margin, Freya over Stovall from 3 races. Jerez is a good track for these kind of cars.
Yeah, we had a small field tonight, but we did promise action aplenty, and that's exactly what all the drivers out on circuit delivered here tonight. So it wasn't necessarily just at the front of the field. There was battles for 3rd and 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th as well. So, and everybody had a piece of the pie. There was plenty of action right throughout the field. So I don't think too many drivers had an easy night tonight. Everybody had a good little battle in their hands at some stage, and I'm sure they'll be glad to put this round behind them, and they'll be looking forward to round number 4 when we come back in 2 weeks at Spa. But before we worry about going down that path, we probably need to think about speaking to some of the victors from tonight's racing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll get to Jamie Stovall. Mr. Second Place joins us, but combined total 0.44 of a second away from 3 wins. Really, really good stuff. Exciting to watch.
Oh, that was very fun racing. An amazing car and track combo, and to be racing against Tom is always a good time. We sort of know each other's limits and stuff, and we know it's going to be fair racing. So, yeah, a lot of fun. Would have liked to come away with at least 1 win tonight, but yeah, especially in that second race with, what was it, 0.005 to get second by that hurts a little bit, but it was fun nonetheless.
And that was the race with the top 6 invert. So you both had to work your way forward through quite a bit of the rest of the field before it could be, gloves off with your sparring partner.
Yeah, we made sure to sort of keep it safe going through the field in the second race. Some of the other guys had some good pace as well. It would have been nice to see a few more people show up. There was only like 10, 15 cars here tonight, so yeah, it would have been nice to have a sort of bigger field. But yeah, the inverted grid always makes it more interesting in the second race. Bit more strategy for where you finish in the first race.
Yeah, indeed. We saw that there were some corners where you could go around the outside, find a lot of grip, or someone gets down the inside, you can still defend around the outside, but the grip looked a little one lane through the final hairpin.
Yeah, the inside definitely seemed like the way to go in the final hairpin. I think on the first hairpin, after the long straight around the outside, had a lot of grip. You saw Tom make a few moves there, and it gives you the insight for the next corner. But yeah, the last corner, I tried a few different things around there. I think trying to cut back to the inside works. But yeah, in the last race, I just didn't get the same run that I did on the second. I think Tom knew what was coming and had it covered.
Well, it was overall very, very exciting to watch, and while it'll say that Tom had 3 race wins, he didn't get any of them easy. And congrats on the night of racing that you guys have had.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Jamie Stovall with second, and second. And Tony Baker's with Jason Fewens.
Yeah, good evening, Tony. Welcome to the Simspeed commentary box. Taking your helmet off, your virtual helmet, I guess, taking a drink, a deep breath, and a bit of a summary on how tonight's racing went.
Yeah, g'day, Jason. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was good fun. Never really been on the podium before in this series, so probably helps when 5 or 6 don't turn up, but hey, I'll take it.
Well, to be honest, throughout the course of the series so far, you have shown really good pace. Probably had a little bit of bad luck in certain races, but tonight, just making the most of it. So starting 5th and finishing 4th, a 3rd to a 4th and a 4th to a 3rd. So you were there all night. A really good pace from the moment you hit the track. A little bit of net code and car contact in race number 1. That was probably the only hiccup you really had throughout most of the night.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I did apologise to Doug for that, but when I went back, exactly that, it was netcode. I was like, yeah, there was plenty of room, but just unfortunate. Yeah, these cars are just really, really good. I was just talking to Tom about them, and it was like, hardly ever driven them before, and they're just a really good skater. So, yeah, hats off to the series.
Well, they provide some really good racing tonight again through the course of the 10 drivers that made their way to the circuit. There was plenty of action from the front right through to the back. It didn't take long to get your head around the car, obviously, throughout the course of the race, but there wasn't too many opportunities for you to take a breath. There was either Nathan Verney was giving you a hard time, or you had Douglas Gowans in front or behind you as well. So for the best part of the night, the three of you were separated by less than a second. So not a lot of downtime over the course of the 3 heat races tonight.
Yeah, not at all. I went to rip the jumper off in between the first heat, but there wasn't enough time. So it was a bit of a sweat puddle when I got it off in the second heat. But that's racing. It was good fun.
So take that good form out of Jerez in Spain, and we visit Belgium in 2 weeks' time. We go to a circuit that is notorious for slipstream and going to be very critical to keep a clean car and have a drafting buddy. We're off to Spa.
Yeah, that's not one of my favourite tracks, but hey, we'll see what happens. I'll just give it a good crack.
Well, all you can do is put your best foot forward, throw your hat in the ring, and see where you end up at the end of the night. So I think you went into tonight 10th in the championship. There was a number of drivers that were missing tonight that were ahead of you. So fingers crossed with a good result here, you'll find yourself a bit further up the field in the scheme of things. So we'll hopefully see you in 2 weeks' time back to put your helmet on, suit up again, and see where we can end up.
Thanks very much, Jason. It's been a good series so far. I'll just try and keep it as clean as possible and see what happens.
Well, you do have some sponsors and some supporters on your car. Do you want to do a quick shout out to those before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to Glenn Cito Riddell, Pulse Tuning's always building good go-kart motors, and John Merritt. Unfortunately, I think both of them are away at the moment, and Timmy Harris, he's out tonight as well. So the only one supporting the team tonight, but hopefully we'll see them both back, all of them back in 2 weeks.
All right, mate, go and cool yourself down, find a nice little ice bath to jump into, and enjoy the accolades from tonight.
Thanks very much, Jason.
There's one driver left to chat with. It's Tom Freer with 3 wins and your biggest winning margin, 0.3 of a second.
Not much, is it? No, that was fun. Like, man, this track and car combo was a lot of fun. So it was fun to just have a bit of a battle with my little mate Jamie, and yeah, I think he's got to do a little bit of work on his defence, I think.
Now, my memory's fallible, but I think you are also 3 from 3 on last lap passes there.
Yeah, we were joking about that. I told him before tonight I'm going to try and pass him 3 different ways. So, 3 last lap passes, and each one was a bit different. So, no, it was good fun. I just think my braking tonight was just a little bit better than Jamie's, which is probably what cost him in the end. He just struggled to pull it up. But no, it was good fun. Like, we both pretty much said we'll try and pull a gap and then race one another at the end. So we did that cleanly, and yeah, happy days. We move on and have another go next week, or 2 weeks time.
And across all of the races, the Spanish sun was out, relatively hot track. We saw a few guys spinning out, and then even in race 2, just as you were catching Douglas Gowans for the lead, he had a snap and off the road at turn 1. Did it feel a bit slicker than it looked?
At times, I think it sort of depended on how you brought the tyre in. I think we figured out pretty early that the way you phase the tyre in the first 3 or 4 laps is pretty big. Do it wrong, you're not going to have any advantage, and if you can just sort of bring the tyre up to 10 in a nice way, you seem to have a big yield sort of from lap 4 onwards. So I think the people who got caught out by that may have just buzzed the tyre a little bit and had a little bit less grip, but it didn't feel too bad. It was pretty easy to have a slide and it's like a bit of a moment in a corner, but if you're driving the car within the window, you shouldn't have to worry too much.
And the standing starts were, I guess, a little bit of a lottery. I think I saw you get a good one and then a bit of an iffy one, and then Doug Gowans also, I think, botched race 1, but then was an absolute jet in in race number 3. There just didn't seem to be a whole lot of consistency to everyone's standing starts.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Like the bite points, it's a very small window. So you know, if you miss it by a tiny bit, you just don't get the launch. So yeah, a little bit difficult to start the cars. Obviously, I think, yeah, I saw a couple of people behind us in that last race get really good starts. But with the staggered grid boxes here, it's a little bit useless when you get a good start, because you know there's already a little bit of a gap, so you can probably get alongside them, you just can't pass them. But yeah, it is quite inconsistent. Obviously, if you hit the money with the bite point, then you're going to get a good launch and no wheel spin and no issues. But yeah, if you miss it, it's a tough one.
And you came into the round as a very slim points leader over Jamie. 3 wins from 3. I don't need to be a mathematician to say that will have extended it just fractionally for you.
Yeah, a little bit. Jamie was very smart tonight. He didn't get any off tracks. I think he might have got one in the last race, but with the way the point system is, he's done a pretty good job, because he obviously got the pole, which is an extra point there, and then the 2 0Xs in the first race. So, you know, even if you're not winning races, you can still accumulate a very good points tally. But I think for me, I was also lucky being behind Jamie. I had already used my 1X, so I knew I wasn't going to get a point, and with no real limit on the incident count, you can take advantage of that if you know you've already lost that point. So I think it would have been a little bit different if I was protecting a 0X race. I wouldn't have been able to drive and have a crack at Jamie as much as I did. But yeah, he's done, although I think I still win the round by a point or 2, but he's done a very good job considering to keep his points tally up.
Awesome stuff. Great to see you both battling it out for the win across all 3 races. The F4 has been exciting to watch, and hopefully we get more of it at Spa.
Yes, but Spa's going to be a lot of fun. I think you'll see a lot of drafting and a lot of passing, I think. So yeah, it should be good fun.
You're selling it better than I ever could. Look forward to that.
Thank you.
So Tom Freer, 3 times race winner, but as he just explained to us, Jamie Stovall's been pretty clever about it all across that round as well, with 3 second place finishes. We spoke to Tony Baker, who had a 4th, and a 3rd. Doug Gowan to the 5th, a 3rd, and a 4th, also scoring pretty well. This is where you'll see Ozicar next, here on your screens of Simspeed TV. It's round 4 at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Bit of a longer lap, but definitely an exciting one for F4 racing. That's the 5th of August here on SimSpeed. And myself, David Haynes, Jason Fewens, and Daniel Yeaman look forward to seeing you for more Ozicar Formula 4 then.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.